Hey guys, Phil here, hope you're all well. What you're looking at in front of you is my friend's GameCube that I repaired in a previous video. As you can see, it's still working great. It's playing a bit of Resident Evil Code Veronica X. But my friend said to me when I phoned him up and said it's ready to collect, he asked me if I could do a mod to it, which is the same mod I did to mine. He wants me to light up the controller port with LEDs. So yeah, if you stick around, I'm going to carry out the controller port LED mod on this GameCube. Time to get inside this GameCube. Now I'm not going to film that, guys. I've shown so many times how to get into a Nintendo GameCube. It's unreal. So yeah, I'm just going to get into it so I can get this front faceplate off. So as you can see, I've taken the lid off the GameCube. All I need to work on this is this front portion here, and it's very easy. You just pull it forward like this, and then you can take it out, and then you've got this ribbon that connects it to the actual motherboard, and all you do is it's push fitted, so you can just grab it like this and pull it out, and there we go. That's the front removed, and this is what we're going to be working on. What I need to do is I need to remove this front fascia from this PCB, because obviously I'm only working on the PCB and the front fascia, so I need to separate them. So that's very easy to do. There's just two screws. Come in, take that screw out, take that screw out, and we should be able to separate the two. And there we go. That's the PCB removed and the front fascia. Now, to drill these holes that indicate the player position, so you've got player 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now to drill these holes, I'm going to be using my little engraving tool, and what you need is a 1.5mm drill bit. But I'm not just going to go straight in right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little tip, because what can happen is obviously you don't want to be slipping, and obviously you don't want to be gouging out the front. So I'm going to show you a little tip that you can use that will help you steady your hand and drill these holes out better. So here's the tip I've got for you, guys. What you need to do is get yourself some masking tape, also known as painter's tape, and you just want to put a couple of strips over the front faceplate where the controller indicators are, so for the players basically. Then what you do is you take a tool with a sharp point, and all you do is you just push the tool through the hole like that, and you just do that for each one. And then what happens is when it comes to drilling, you can put your drill bit in there and you're not going to slip out the actual hole and obviously scratch up the faceplate. So what I'm going to do now is get drilling these holes out. Okay, and what I'll do is rest off camera, because who wants to sit here, see me drilling holes? And as you can see, that's the 1.5mm holes drilled, and as you can see, that looks really nice. I've not slipped or anything and ruined the front of the actual faceplate, and if I had to say so, that looks factory to me. So yeah, if you take your time, you use that tip that I give you with the masking tape, you can't really go wrong, unless you've got giant man hands or something, which I do have, and I proved you can do it. So yeah, that's that faceplate all taken care of. What I need to do now, before I actually install the LEDs, is we need to remove some of the actual outer metal shield of the controller port. Now, this does not in any way weaken the controller port. This is just here to help ground the actual controller plug that you plug into the GameCube, and hopefully you can see there's a little bit of metal here. It's a metal prong, and there's one in each connector. Now don't worry about that, because there's one at the bottom and two at the side as well, so losing one is not going to electrically damage this controller port in any way. So what I need to do is, I'll just do one of them and show you. What I need to do is take a little pick tool like this, and I need to push that prong upwards a little bit more. To push it out, and there we go. As you can see, it's come out the top. Now what you can do is, if you grab it like this and you keep moving it back and forward, it should eventually weaken and fall off. There we go, it's come off. Now I'm not going to film me doing the rest of them, but you need to do the rest of the controller ports. And as you can see, I removed all four of those metal prongs. Now it's going to be obvious why I removed them. Now what I need to do is start fixing the LEDs in. What I want to do now is talk a little bit about the LEDs I'm going to use. Now I'm one of those cheap that likes to buy 5 million LEDs from eBay for 4p. That's just me, I'm a cheap. Now the problem with that is you have no idea where these LEDs have come from. When you buy these, they won't give you a data sheet telling you the vital information about them. They'll just put 5 million LEDs in a bag, charge you 4p. Thank you very much, have a good day. I'm exaggerating there, guys. You're probably looking at somewhere around about £5 for a bag of 100 LEDs. But like I said, they won't come with a data sheet, and they won't give you any information about the LEDs. Now the problem with LEDs like this, where you buy them in bulk from eBay, is I can guarantee you not all these LEDs are born equal, right? So what I mean by that is, if you go to a reputable seller like Farnell, DigiKey, Mauser, that type of place, they'll give you a data sheet with the LED, and they'll tell you, well, this LED has a forward voltage of 3 volts and a forward current of, let's say, 15 milliamps, and it will be plus or minus 10%, right? When you buy bags of LEDs from eBay like this, you won't have that plus or minus 10%. These are going to be like plus or minus 10, 20, 30%. These are like they're out of spec. They're perfectly fine, they work perfectly fine, but they won't be within spec. So what you'll see now is I'm going to hook up my bench power supply and start showing you the difference in these LEDs, and you'll see that, you know, some of them will have a low forward current and some of them will have a higher forward current. And the problem there, when you're doing LED mods, what you'll find is if you just grab 4 of these, I just grab 4 of these and use them in my circuit, what I find is they may have totally different forward current at 3 volts than each other. And what you'll see is one controller port will light up brighter than another controller port, and another controller port will be a lot dimmer than another controller port, and you'll be sitting there scratching your head going, why is it not uniform? Why are they different? And it's because when you buy bags of LEDs off eBay, they're not all born equal, and I'm going to show you that now. Like I mentioned in the video, what I want to try and do is match the LEDs. So if you take a look at my power supply, I've set it for 3 volts output, 250 milliamps, that's way too much. But these LEDs aren't going to pull 250 milliamps. So what I'm going to try and do here is try and find 4 LEDs out of the handful I've grabbed that at the same forward voltage have roughly the same forward current. If I do that, I know they matched and they should all be at the same uniform brightness. So yeah, I'm just going to start testing these LEDs to see if I can find 4 of them that are roughly the same. So let's pop one in, turn on my power supply. Now that one's pulling 13 milliamps, so I would put that in the middle of my scale, so I'm going to put that there. Let's try another one. This one's 16, you can already see that's more, so I'm going to add that up there, that's higher on the scale. This one's 11, so I'm going to put that there because it's lower on the scale. And you can see that one's 8, so we can already see the difference between this LED here and this LED. This one is pulling twice the forward current than this one. So if I was to put them in the same circuit at the same forward voltage and use the same resistor, current limit resistor, what I would see is this one would be brighter than this one. So let's test this one, and we've got another 11, so I'm going to put that one next to this one in the scale. So now we've got 2 11s. Now an 11 and a 13, you'd probably be okay using them together. You're not going to really see the difference. And there we go, we got a 10. Well, it's just making its mind up. So 11, so we've got another 11. So now we've got 3 that are at 11 milliamps. So if I get another 11, there we go, we got a 4. So let's try another one. See, this one's at 5. Look how low that one is. So that's at 5 milliamps. So this here is pulling 3 times as much as this one when it comes to its forward current. So let's try this one, and there we go, we got another 11. That's our 4 matched. Right, so we got 4 11s. Winner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 4 out, because these will be the 4 I'm going to use, and I'll put them over there, and I'm just going to test the rest of them to see what they are. There's another 13, so that can go there. But you can see the scale, how different they are. Like I mentioned, not all LEDs are born equal. And there's another 13, but it's making its mind up. 15, so I'd put that with the 16. So that goes there. And let's try this final one. And that is a 13. So that goes there. Now, I've already got my 4 just here that I'm going to use. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the difference between the 16 milliamp forward current LED and the 5 forward current LED. So I'll put that there. I'll come along and put this one way around. Put that there. Now, I don't know whether you can see on camera if it's coming up that well, but I can see it with a naked eye. This one is a lot brighter than this one, and that's because this one's pulling 16 milliamps and this one's pulling 5 milliamps. Now, if I was to use those in this mod I'm going to do, I'd mod and then I'd turn the GameCube on and it would bug me, because I'd be going, why is that LED brighter than this one? And that's the trap you can fall into when you're doing multiple LED mods. Make sure you match them, because then what you'll find is they're all the same. Now what I'll do is I'll take these 11 milliamp LEDs and I'll show you, and hopefully on camera you'll actually see that they all look uniform to each other. And there we go. Hopefully you can see that, guys. They all look absolutely the same. So when I do this controller port mod, I'm not going to go, why is this one brighter than this one and why is this one dimmer than this one? You know, match them and you don't have this problem. Now, before we install our LEDs, we're going to run into a little bit of an issue. If you take a look at the controller port where we're going to tap into to illuminate our LEDs, if you take a look at the controller port, and I'll put a little annotation here so you can see it, that's a 5 volts. Now, you've seen earlier in the video that my LEDs have a forward voltage of 3 volts. So 5 volts is going to be too much for those LEDs. So what we're going to have to do is use something called a current limiting resistor. Now what that resistor will do is it will drop a voltage across it so we can get to our forward voltage, which is 3 volts. Now to do that, there is a little formula that will help you work out what value current limiting resistor you need. Now to do this, we use something called Ohm's law, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that formula. So the formula is voltage source minus forward voltage of the LED shared by forward current of the LED. So that's the formula that we're going to use. So now we can simplify this. We've got voltage source. We know that it's 5 volts, right? We know the forward voltage of the LED, and remember we're going to take that away. So we know that is 3 volts, and that gives us 2 volts. So we're going to drop 2 volts across that resistor. Now remember, we know our forward current of the LED, which was 11 milliamps, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it off to 10 milliamps, and that's just going to make the calculation more easy. So what we need to do is we need to share 2 by the forward current of the LED, and that gives us, quite easily to work out, 200 ohms. So if we use a 200 ohm resistor, we will drop 2 volts across it. That will supply the LED with a forward voltage of 3 volts and a current draw of 10 milliamps. Simple, thanks to Ohm's law. Now I've got my closely matched LEDs, got 4 200 ohm resistors, and I've got some wire. So time to put this together. 3, 2, 1. And there we go. These are 4 LEDs. If I coat them in resistors and wires all connected, ready to go inside the GameCube. Now what I'll do is I'll show you me installing the first LED. I'm not going to go through all 4 of them. The first one's just the same as the last. But first I want to show you where we're going to solder to. So if we take a look at this connector here, we've got 4 opposite diagonal actual connections, and then inside there we've got 6 pins. So if we go from the first one here, this first one is ground, and that's where we're going to tap our ground from, and the third one is +5, so that's where we're going to get our +5 from. So what I'll do is I'll install the first one and show you. So what I want to do is just get some fresh solder onto those 2 pins. So that's that one, the first pin and the third pin. There we go. I'm going to take my LED, come in, solder positive to there and the negative to there. And then what I need to do is, you can already see I bent it into shape. We take our LED and we just pop it in to, I'll move that out of the way so you can see it better. You can see now why we got rid of those metal clips, and it just pops into that groove there. Now what you can do if you want to keep it in there is just get a little bit of hot snot just to hold it in there. But yeah, that's the first one done. What I'm going to do now is do the other 4 off camera, because obviously it's just the same. As you can see, that's the LED mod complete. What I can do now is start screwing back on the front faceplate. That's the front faceplate put back on to the PCB. Time to get this back in the GameCube and give it a test. And as you can see, we're partially back together just to give this a test. So let's power on, and look at that. The GameCube's booting. That looks fantastic. So okay, let's get the lid on this and I can wrap up the video. What I want to talk to you about just before I power on the GameCube is that little metal clip we removed. Well, it's not a clip, it's more of a connector that we removed on the top of each controller port. Now what that does is when you plug in the controller, it makes contact with the actual outside of the metal connector for the controller and grounds it. Now you may be going, oh, now that's missing, is it not grounded anymore? The answer is no. The reason for that is if you take a look, you can see, I don't know whether you can see, there's a metal prong at the bottom as well, and there's 2 metal prongs at the side. So out of the 4 metal prongs that ground this outer connector here, we've lost one of them. There's still 3 of them, perfectly enough to ground the actual controller. Now you may be asking as well, because we lost that, does the controller port work properly? Does it keep the controller in there? So I'll plug it in and I can show you. I'm tugging on that and it's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's electrically sound and it doesn't impact the actual plugging in and taking out the controller port neither. It stays in there and it's pretty solid in there as well. And as you can see, we're all back together. So let's power on and see what this bad boy looks like. And as you can see, it looks fantastic. And maybe you can hear in the background, it's the GameCube booting, so it's still working. But yeah, fantastic little mod, guys. It's not too tricky to do, but it really does make your GameCube pop. So what I'm going to do now is I'll turn my lights out and you'll see the full effect of this. And there we go. It looks absolutely fan-dabby-dozy. Turn my lights back on. There we go. So yeah, what I'm going to do now, guys, is get a controller and a memory card up top. And then I'm going to fire this thing up and wrap up the video. I've gone and got a controller, memory card, got my backup of Resident Evil Code Veronica in the drive, shut the lid, power on, looking fantastic, and hopefully the game boots, so it should boot. Focus. So yeah, there you go, guys. Really nice controller port LED mod. So yeah, hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Winner, winner. Catch you next time, guys.